Have you ever wondered what happens to an aircraft at the end of its life? Have you ever wondered where new technologies in aircraft design get tested? Well, we met up with Twente Airport at the Paris Air Show 2025 to answer some of those questions. Gerben Groothuis, thank you so much for finding some time for our Progress Voices podcast series.
Happy to.
It sounds like the company you're working for is doing exactly what Progress Factors is passionate about, and that's making sustainability the core of their business model. So not completely changing everything you're doing, but saying which advantages does sustainability offer to our business. And if you could just tell us who you are, what you do, where you do it, and why you're so passionate about it.
Happy to. Thank you so much, Rick. So, Gerben Groothuis, indeed. I'm the business development and innovation manager at Twente Airport, which is a former military base in the east of the Netherlands. And it's a very big airport, however, with very few activities. In fact, we have no scheduled commercial traffic. And that leaves us with an opportunity to do something else with the airport. And next to on-demand aviation, so business aviation flying in and out of the region, we support the sustainable aviation future by allowing aircraft builders or component builders to test their devices at our airport. We got a 3 kilometer long and 45 meter wide runway, and even the airspace up until 2,200 feet, which is more or less at the disposal of the people that are coming to us to test their apparatus.
So I can really appreciate what that means with the runway, because I once did a project many years ago, actually ran for a few years, and it was close to Oberpfaffenhofen in Munich. And I used to jog along an ex-military runway. That's the longest jog of your life. Those kilometers, it just looks like you're getting nowhere.
Exactly.
For everyone that's listening or watching this on YouTube, could you just explain to us what that means, those kilometers? You know, what can we land at your airport? Well, you know, is it just for small, light aviation, or are we talking about larger vehicles or larger?
No, we can take up to Boeing 737 and so Airbus 320 sized aircraft. Those can land and take off. We actually also have the approval to accept even larger aircraft, but those are for end-of-life dismantling purposes.
Really?
That's another sustainability edge that we have.
So you're talking about the circular economy of aircraft?
Correct. Sustainability and the circular economy is what we're trying to support. Not just because we believe in it, but because we see a business opportunity in it. And to me, that is the main reason why it's going to happen. So in terms of the aircraft end-of-life situation, we have a company called Aircraft End-of-Life Solutions, abbreviated as AELS. And they've been at our airport since a couple of years, and what they do is they buy financially end-of-life aircraft, which they then dismantle in the most circular fashion possible, and those components that can be reworked and still be resold back into the industry are. But the remainder of the aircraft is nicely separated in terms of components and material, and then recycled.
This is absolutely awesome news, because we all know that picture of, I think it's in Arizona somewhere,
yes.
There's that desert with all those old aeroplanes just rotting away. It's so terrible to see that happening.
Absolutely, and it doesn't need to be. In fact, this company AELS has been in the forefront of developing the most circular fashion of getting the aircraft at the end of its lifetime, basically back into the supply chain.
That's brilliant, because obviously, you know, in an aircraft there's a lot of things that you can't dismantle. But, you know, I've worked in the production area in Airbus before, and, you know, if you see an aircraft, a fuselage as it's being built, then, you know, it really is a modular concept that's made to be changed. If, for instance, the aircraft changes hands and you want to change the colour of the seats, it's not a difficult thing to do, to change the interior.
No,
right?
indeed. So what they do in the process of dismantling, They actually use the aircraft maintenance manual to basically take the aircraft apart again, as if it were a part of a maintenance cycle. Only they never put it back together.
And so that means you can actually land much larger aircraft.
Up to 747.
Up to 747, and they've got enough space to slow down and stop. Just getting them back out again would be the issue, right?
No, even that would be possible. It's just that we don't have the approval for that at this point. We don't need that approval right now, because we're not focusing on trying to get those aircraft take off again. But we do believe that the narrow body, so the 737s and the A320s, they are the types of aircraft that potentially we would wish to also fly out of our airport.
Okay, excellent. So, Gerben, is this great? So what we're saying is you've got an airport, it's offering a facility for people to test new technologies.
Correct.
So that we can move from the laboratory and the theory into the practice and into the air up to 2,000 meters.
Yeah, feet.
Feet,
yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Okay, no, it makes a big difference if you've got a parachute on, I know that.
Absolutely, and in aviation everything is in feet.
Okay, sorry.
We have the British to thank for that.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, I take full responsibility. But what you're also doing is you're supporting a company that's there for the end of life, the circular economy.
Correct.
But you've also started something very important in terms of electric aviation, I believe, as well. And that's a subject that's very dear to our heart. Small advert to anyone who's watching this on YouTube. Get on over and look at our eGenius film. 30,000 people have watched it meanwhile.
Yeah.
And it's all about an electric aviation or a new technology in electric aviation. But what are you doing? It seems like, again, you're very much focused on making strategy happen, making progress happen, which is great.
Which we try to do, of course. So a little background on that. So electric flying has been around for quite some time. There is today in the world one aircraft that is officially certified and flies, but it's a small one. But electric flying is from an energy perspective one of the most efficient ways to propel an aircraft. Therefore, there are a number of initiatives in the world, aircraft manufacturers, new as well as existing, that are developing electric aircraft that will not be flying across the pond over to the US, but could potentially be flying up to 500, maybe 1,000 kilometers, taking initially maybe 10 or 5 or 10 people, but ultimately maybe 100 people. So a different niche of aviation, not necessarily replacing much of the existing aviation, but adding another modality, basically, of getting from A to B. And we felt very strongly that we needed to be supporting that effort. We have access to a pretty large electricity source at our airport. But regardless, we wanted to basically help lay the lands for whatever is needed to get the industry up to the next level and actually fly people from A to B electrically. So fully sustainable, emission-free, and noise poor, I would say.
And that's so green electricity as well, then.
Exactly. Well, ideally, because otherwise it's kind of senseless. But in essence, electric as a starting point. So what we did for that, we were coming together with a bunch of other stakeholders in the Netherlands, but by now it's grown across the borders. But other stakeholders that are equally passionate about making this happen. So ranging from aircraft manufacturers, infrastructure providers, knowledge institutes, charging or battery manufacturers, to come together and cluster our activity, and basically get the synergies going of all those different aspects of electric flight, and push it forward, making sure that we have a single voice to the authorities that will ultimately need to support this, and perhaps even can support this financially, but also to the general public, and explain what electric flight is all about, what it can, but also what it can't do.
And I believe you're representing that whole organisation also when it's in dialogue with governments, explaining what's necessary, how to remove the blockers, and how to actually, progress this whole thing. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. So the organisation that we formed is called the EFC, or Electric Flying Connection, which represents all those players. And what we're doing is, well, I might call as a lobby group. But more importantly, we wish to keep the entire ecosystem very closely knit together, so that we don't double activities. We learn from each other and therefore move faster. But at the same time, of course, have the opportunity of talking to the authorities, to all the different types of authorities, regional, government, national, but even local, to explain to them what we believe is what their focus should be and how they can further strengthen this ecosystem in the Netherlands.
Which is excellent, because we always say, every technology we need to save the planet has already been invented. We just need to collaborate. And
yes.
What you're doing is you put in the oil in the gears so the whole gearbox can move, right?
That's exactly it. And I like the analogy. It's really about that. And working together is easily talked about. But in the end, you need like-minded individuals to actually give and take. It's easy to take if you want to collaborate, but you also have to give. And we believe we have a group of individuals that are willing and able to do that and push this forward.
Excellent. No, I mean, this is great. And I can tell you as well, we're here at the Paris Air Show. Thank you for your patience that you waited until the last demonstration. Stopped.
Not very sustainable version of aviation there.
I drive in a fully electric vehicle, and I have to say I absolutely love it. I've driven all sorts of high engine cars. I used to work for car OEM. I'm a petrol head, but I love that vehicle. And one of the things that's great about it is it's so quiet.
It is very quiet. It is very quiet, and that of course will help also convince ultimately the general public that allowing regional air mobility from their regional airport to accept that, because it will not create a big nuisance to
Noise
the people.
pollution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, of course, it's emission free. And that exactly that very concept of flying regionally electrically is something that we believe as a group that will become a reality between now and 5 years, and will certainly start becoming more common in the years after. You may appreciate that in about 5 years, you with some of your colleagues could rent a plane which would take 5 or maybe 10 passengers and rent it to go from A to B. So an air taxi, basically, an air taxi service, but not at the price of a current business jet, but more or less at the price of a first class train ticket. But that's on-demand aviation of the future, and if that grows, then ultimately also individuals will start using it, and we believe that will open up a whole new mobility opportunity for society.
What I love about this conversation is it's about making the future better.
Yeah.
And what we really try to avoid is this kind of doom and gloom approach of everything's going to be rubbish and we shouldn't go on a holiday anymore. And, I'm all for wearing recyclable clothes and, maybe not buying fast fashion and things like that. But there are certain things that really it's about a quality of life. And what you're saying is we're going to make things better and sustainable. We're going to make things profitable and sustainable.
Yes.
And that's a lot better than just saying, hey, stop doing what you're doing. Exactly. Because you're a horrible person. You go on holiday.
Typically, that's impossible to make people change their behavior. Right? People want to fly. They want to explore. We've always done that as individuals, and there are continents that haven't had that opportunity. Why would we deny them of that opportunity? Well, what we can do is give them an additional alternative, maybe, or an additional type of travel that will be sustainable and still very much affordable.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely great. And what I can say as well, with a little bit of good news, as I say, we're here at the Paris Air Show. Tomorrow on Friday, our next podcast drops, so this will be in the past by the time this podcast goes out. And it's with a guy called Tom Forner from Focused Energy. Focused Energy is working in Hessen, close to Frankfurt in Germany, to achieve nuclear fusion, which is scientifically already proven to work. It's about making it engineering capable now as well. Yeah. So we got a podcast on that. But if those guys achieve, and there's many companies around the world trying to do this, I've got a feeling Tom Forner is going to be one of the first ones, his company, Focused Energy. But if they achieve what they're trying to do, then the whole problem with electricity has gone away.
Absolutely. You know, electricity is going to be the source of energy in the future, and there are ways to make that available. And nuclear power is definitely a very realistic one. Yeah.
Well, listen, before we just do plugs for my other podcasts and other people's companies, if there's anybody out there and they're developing an electric aviation technology, I'm just going to call it, whether it's a whole aeroplane or just a certain thing, if they're interested in getting in contact with you, what's the best place to start?
So I would definitely start at the EFC. So efc.aero is the website. You'll see how we've come about, who are already members of our consortium, and also how we've articulated a message of what electric flying is all about, and what it isn't. So that people have a good and a concise idea, which we believe, we hope at least, will stick in their minds much easier than if you try to blind them with science. It's a simple narrative, and if people are attracted to that, they can join us.
Gerben, I'd like to thank you so much for finding the time here at the trade fair. I know you're busy off your feet and you take so much time for us, and we really, really appreciate this. And just a personal thank you for just doing something good for the planet. It's so nice to see that not everybody's greenwashing and people like you are actually making a difference. I take my hat off to you. Thank you
so much. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.